I'm going to show you some examples of trades I've done, and this is to show you the risk involved. You know, I'm going to show you some trades that worked out beautifully, exactly as you'd maybe hope they would, and I'm going to show you a trade that, you know, is ongoing and, you know, is done okay, but was a little more trying than I had originally anticipated. And then I'm going to show you a trade that just went totally south, and, you know, I took a loss on it. So I'm going to do some examples, and how I'm going to do this, I'm going to be showing you in my own little spreadsheet that I've created. And I think the best thing to do is to show you how that spreadsheet works first. And then once you see how the spreadsheet works, you'll be able to hit pause on the recording and you can kind of follow through the history of the trade. Let's just say, you know, today I was going to open a trade. So today is 0606. Now, obviously the market's closed. So it fills my date in, and let's say the ticker was, Morgan Stanley seems to be the one I always use. So the ticket is Morgan Stanley, and I'm going to sell a put. So this is a cash secured put. I'm going to do one contract, and then I started doing this the last few months. I didn't do this initially, so some of the examples you're going to see, this price at entry is not going to be filled in. I added this column later. But price at entry is the current price that the stock is trading at right now. Okay, so let's just say Morgan Stanley is trading at 65.23. I have no idea where it is, and that's irrelevant. I found that looking back on the order, it's nice for me to see where the price was when I either rolled the option or started the option or closed the option. It gives me a little history as I look back and see what happened to a trade that went a little against me. So let's say that, you know, I'm doing a cash secured put and I did a 62 strike price, and then it automatically fills in that that's a 6,200 buying power. And the max profit, now what this is for me is that's basically the premium I collected minus the initial commission to enter the trade. So let's say in this case, the maximum profit was $32, you know, that's the premium. So I would enter 31.35, which is $32 minus the 65 cents. But I want that max profit to reflect after the commission. And then I'd have an expiration date, and let's just say it's this coming week, 06/12, and the days to expiration in this case would be 6. And as you can see, this is the exit, the actual profit, the days number held, and this is where I put, you know, if it expired worthless, or if I exited early, or if I rolled it. You'll see that in some of these. But immediately what it does is it shows me my potential profit percentage is 0.51%. Okay, which that figure is the maximum profit divided by the buying power. So it's 0.5%. But then you have the monthly potential profit, which is this next column. And again, these are potential profits based on this max profit figure. The monthly potential profit would be 2.53%. Now, as you know, I go for 2%, so this would reach my goal. Now, let's say I exit it. Let's say Morgan Stanley goes up in price, you know, on Monday or Tuesday, and I exit because most of my I can buy it back for, you know, 10 cents and reallocate the money to something else because it's already given me most of my profit. So let's say I exit it on 06/9. And so that would have been, and let's say my actual profit on the exit was 22.70. And again, that's, if I exited early, I'm going to take the second commission out of the actual. So let's say I got paid $32 premium, and I exited it when I had to pay $8 in premium back. So 32 minus 8 is $24.30 commission would give me that 22.70 profit. And I would have held that for 3 days. And so now you come over here and you see that my actual percentage, now this is based on a closed trade, is 0.37%, but my actual monthly, because I closed it in less days, was 3.66%. Okay, so that's how this works. Here I would have put an EE for exit early. I put an EW for expires worthless, meaning I let the option expire worthless, so I collected the full maximum profit in that case. And, then of course the days held would have been the 6 if I did that. Or if I roll it, let's say here I decided to roll it. So here I would write rolled. And then if I had rolled it, I would have collected this entire thing minus the second commission. So that total would have been 30.70. Okay, because it's 31.35 minus my 65 cents to exit, to roll it is 30.70. Of course, then it adjusts these percentages appropriately. And sometimes I'll put notes here. I rolled the strike up or I rolled the strike down. Again, depending on the thing. I try to give myself any little helpful hints that might tell me why I decided to roll it. If I had rolled it, then of course on the 9th I would put here. I would do Morgan Stanley again, and I would do a sell put again, and it would be one contract again. And so anyway, I just want you to understand, this is how I do it. This is my spreadsheet. I fill in the basics, and then it computes, the profits and so forth and the percentages. And, it works out pretty good for me. I'm sure somebody else has probably got a more fancy spreadsheet than that. I've been using this for 2 years with modifications as I've gone, and it works real well for me. That's the basics. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to show you some of the trades that I've taken. You're going to see a longer set of ins and outs, and you'll get to kind of see how I manage a trade. So you'll see some of those. I'm going to just pick a few, and I've done a lot of these through the last 2 years, and I'll pick a few to show you, and we'll see if it makes sense to you. So I'm going to pull up this ticker. This was a trade I took early in my journey. I started the end of July doing this, so this is August 17th of 2018. So I've been doing it less than a month. Came across this ticker TGTX. It's a biotech company. And I sold a put, one contract. I did a strike price of $12. I say here in my notes that I bought the purchase. So, it was looking really good. I can't remember if I had like a tip from some newsletter that, this biotech was about to go crazy, or I really don't remember why I picked it, other than I know a $59 premium on a $1,200 stock for 1 day to expiration is pretty amazing. That was 147.5% monthly potential, which is what I got because I got assigned. And like I say, I made a note here that I bought to purchase it. So I bought the cash secured put the day of expiration or the day before. I don't know exactly, 8/17. It looks like I bought it the day of. And I got assigned. So in my mind, I'd gotten in at 11, 41 is kind of, how you can look at this. But needless to say, it was a high percentage gain on that part. So the following Monday, I immediately opened a covered call. I went for the $13 strike price, thinking I want to make $100, if it gets called away. The max profit on that was 184. It was a 32 days to expiration, and that expired worthless, meaning that I kept the $184, and that I probably missed getting commission out of these early on, would be my guess. Actually, no, I don't think so. I think actually commission was $1 back then per contract. So it probably was 185 premium. I got 104 and 60 and so forth. So that expired worthless. That was a realized gain of 13.27% on a monthly, 14.15% on an actual percent. While I'm holding this one on 906, I decided to sell another put. I mean, this was a fairly cheap stock, right? And so, I might average my cost down. So I did a strike price of $10, which was a buying power of 1,000. This should have actually been 1,200 here because even though it was a 13 strike, not 12,000, 1,200. My buying power was only $1,200 because that's what I paid to get in, which improves those percentages a little bit. Anyway, I sold a put. Again, I got $84 for that. And guess what? I got assigned. So I now had 2 contracts, and instead of 1. And my average cost, since I did 12 and 10, is now 11. So I'm now $2,200. You can see that's reflected in the pricing here. That should be 2,200 there. I find mistakes as I go through these. I get going fast sometimes and don't fill this out as accurately as I should. So now I've got that. So on 9/24, this one has expired, and I've been assigned on that put, and I was assigned on the covered call expired worthless. So the next Monday, now I'm selling 2 contracts on a covered call. Again, I go for the $13 strike price. Still just $2,200 in my buying power. This had a maximum profit of $318. It was 25 days out to expiration. As you can see, I exited on 9/25, so I didn't hold it. I only held it 2 days. And I was able to realize my $306 of actual profit. I held it for 2 days, exited early. That's what the EE stands for. So, I made 208% on that. And, I'd already collected $645 in premium to this point. And if it had been covered, I was $200 per contract higher. So I would have added another $400 to that if it had, if I'd gotten called away. Well, it didn't get called away. The next line, we follow through here was 10/08. It's when I bought 2 more covered calls. The price had fallen obviously at this point, and if I remember correctly, it had fallen pretty dramatically. It was down to $7 or $8, and so I did a strike price of $9 on this one, which means I would have lost $200 per contract had it been called away. This is where managing gets tough, because if I had tried to keep it at the 11, there probably was no premium to be paid. In fact, the max profit you can see on this one was $8, meaning, and that's on 2 contracts, so $4 each. The premium was $4 on each, after commissions. And it expired on 11/16, just 8 days out. Well, it expired worthless, so I kept my $8. But as you can see, that was only a 0.28% gain for the monthly gain. So I've done real well here, but now I'm going to start to not do as well, because the price has moved against me, and I can't make my goal when that price moves against me. So you can see I went through some more covered calls. Strike price went all the way down to 6, then it went back up to 11, then it went back down to 7, then to 10, 11, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 5. Now I'm at 12. So at this point, as you can see, I've been managing this trade with covered calls all this time. And now the question is, has it worked out? Well, right now, I'll still make $100 per contract more than the $11 per contract I'm in. And right now, it's going to get called away. The stock price is now up to like $18. And it climbed in the last little while, and I just haven't been able to roll it up. I've tried, but I don't like to roll up for debits, because you roll up for a debit, and all of a sudden something happens, the stock price drops, and now you're back down to losing money, both on the debit and the strike price. So, at this point, I've managed this trade to where I would make, another $200 on top of what I'm showing here. And if you take this, and we just do, this premiums I've closed so far are $1,203.55. I still have another $178.70 there. So 1,203 plus the 178 plus 200, because if it's going to get called away, I'm going to make 200. That will mean I will have made $1,581.70 on this stock through a 2-year time frame. But it was only $2,200 invested, so that's a 71.8% return. Divide that by 24 months, which will be less than that. It'll be 21 months, but even 24 months, it's a 0.029%. So 2.9% a month is what I've averaged on holding this money. Totally hits my goal. I'm happy with that. The stock's going to get called away. I could cry over spilt milk and say, well, I could have sold it for $18 instead of $12. Well, of course, I didn't know that when I was placing all these things. The stock price varied over this 24-month period all over the map. But this one worked out, and so I wanted you to see it as a as one that did work out, but that took, you know, some management. Okay, we're going to move on to another one, little bit easier one, a little quicker one. This was Harley Davidson, HOG. Love their ticker. On July 25th, I sold a put, one contract. The price at entry was 36.06. I did a strike price of $35, so obviously buying power is 3,500. Maximum profit was 23.25 with an 8:02 expiration, so it was 8 days out. I rolled that on July 30th, so I kept 22.50. This was back when commission was 75 cents. So I'd held it for 5 days, so I made a 3.86% return on that one. So now I'm 7:30. I'm back in the same thing, same strike. I just rolled it out, same strike. Stock was trading, as you can see when I rolled it, the stock was trading just slightly under the 35 strike. But I was okay with that because I was willing to own this stock at that price if it got assigned. My premium was 24.25 after commission, was 10 days to expiration. I only held at 7, so I made the full 23.50, which was 2.88%. So I'd rolled it back out again on the 6th, same strike price. Stock was now trading at 33.42. So obviously I'm rolling this out, and I'm obviously okay with the 35 strike if I get filled. 16.25 in commission and premium after commission. And as you can see, I held that through to the end. I got assigned, so my actual profit was the 16.25, which was a 1.39% return, a little under my 2, obviously. So immediately started doing covered calls, and I show you this one because, you know, obviously I could have tried to keep rolling it out, I suspect, but I was looking at, sometimes you look at the covered call side and say, well, you know, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So I might as well accept the stock and start covered calling it. So I started doing covered calls. The price at this point was down to 32.70. So, you know, it was down $4 from where I started. I did a strike price of 34.50, meaning if it got filled, I was going to lose $50. But I got paid $73 to hold it, and it was for a 32-day expiration. I only held it for 22 days, made $72.50. So you can see I collected the full thing. That was 2.82%. That included also a dividend of $37.50 that was paid on 9/16. So that's why that was so high. Obviously, I rolled it there. I didn't write it, but it's obvious I did roll it. And so I rolled it on 9/10. You can see I exited. There's the entry. This time I was able to roll it up to my full price because the price was starting to come up. See, it's coming off that 32.70. It's now 34.75. I was able to roll my strike price back up to the 35. So I'm now going to break even on the actual stock. I got $19.25. Was 31 days till expiration. 6 days out, I rolled that again. So I made 2.64%. And as you can see, when I rolled it on 9/16, I rolled it up from the 35 to the 35.50. So now I'm actually going to make $50 when that's filled. And as you can see, it was filled. I made $14.25, but that actually should have included $50 more. So that should have been $64.25 when it was filled, which gave me a 1.41% return. And so, you know, the question is, I held this from July 25th to 10/25, almost exactly 3 months, right? So let's look at this. I made 0.0621%, divide that by 3 months. I made so I made 2.07%. So I hit my goal with that stock, even though I had to, you know, I got in, you know, when I got in, the stock was trading lower than what my strike price. I had to kind of play with my strikes on the covered calls. Eventually got it up to the 35.50, but I was out of that in 3 months, and it made my goal. Okay, this is a more current one, probably one of the last ones I show. This is AMD. AMD is an interesting stock in that it tends to trade in a pretty pretty nice little range, especially lately through the pandemic and everything. So on April 9th, I went ahead and just bought 100 shares of AMB at $49.78. It had come down below 50, and I wasn't sure how long I was going to hold this, but I thought, it looks like a good price. I'm going to just go straight into a buy right. So I bought the stock and then immediately covered with a call. Now, interestingly enough, part of why I like this one is I immediately made a mistake. Did a strike price of 50, which would have given me just slightly more than I paid for it. And I was, a premium of $122, and it was only 8 days out. So that, worked out to a 9.2% return, which, I've been very happy with. To be honest, I can't remember what I did, but I made a mistake. I ended up getting out of it for the exact same price I'd paid. So I'd got paid 123 premium, then I paid 123 to buy it. So I ended up losing $1.30, which was the commission on both sides. It was just a mistake. And, it's partly why it's not a bad idea if you're new to this to paper trade it a little bit, just to get used to your platform and not make stupid mistakes. I had set my price wrong to get out of this. I put the wrong buy price in. I was trying to buy out and make $10, and then I was going to reposition. And I put the price in wrong, and immediately, of course, filled me. And there you are. So I ended up getting out, like say, right at the exact same price I'd gotten in, and lost the commission. So that was on Friday afternoon. So Monday I sold a new call, same strike price, same buying power, obviously. I got paid $114.35. So you can see right here, I left $8 on the table. It's the exact same option. I bought right back into the exact same option. Anyway, I rolled that. I rolled that one on the 14th. So I only held it for 1 day, and I made $113.70. I rolled it out for the same strike of $50, and got a $70 commission. And so here's an example where sometimes I'll just check. I just check to see, could I roll this out a week and make additional percentage? And in this case, I could, so I did. So for that now was 10 days out, which equaled to 4.24%. But as you can see, after 1 day, I rolled it again. So I kept the full thing, which now made that a 42% monthly return. Rolled it out again, and this time I rolled it up $1. So I rolled it from 50 to 51. I only collected $19.35 in premium. But as you can see, the stock price had gone up. And at this point, it was trading at $55. So I wanted to roll it up. And, I could roll it up one. I believe I looked to roll it up to 52, and that was going to cost me a debit. So I rolled it up to 51, made a small premium on that. It was 16 days out, which, of course, now there you're going to see I would have only made a monthly return of 0.73%. But I was okay with that because I was able to roll it up $100. And so you can see I held that for 12 days. So 4 days before expiration, I was able to roll it up again, and this time I was able to roll it up another $1, so up to $52 on the strike. Made $45.35. It was 25 days out to expiration. So the actual so that would have been a 1.09%. But again, I'm okay with that because I'm making more if it gets called away. And at this point, it's trading above the price, so I'm thinking it's, got a good chance of getting called away. So I'm trying to roll that strike up to maximize my profit. So, but you can see I rolled that again. I held it for 22 of the 25 days. I made it a 1.22% return, and I rolled it up for another $100. So you can see now I'm now at $52 strike. My buying power is still the $49.78, which is what I bought the stock for. My maximum profit on that was $48.35, so it's $49 premium. That was only 11 days out, so I was able to kind of start shortening this time out. The actual profit was $47.70 because I rolled it again. After 1 day before expiration, I rolled it out again. So I made 2.87% by rolling it a little early. I rolled it out. This time I rolled it out for the same strike. Stock was now at 53.28, so I went ahead and rolled it for the 52. And when I do that, it's again, I'm basing that on where I think the price may go and what the premium will be. If I tried to roll this up to the 53, the premium would have been next to nothing. So I rolled it out. 49.78 is my buying power. 71.35 was the premium. It expired in 8 days. After 6 days, I rolled it again, so I made 7% on that. I am currently open on that. It expires this coming Friday, which is 6/12. The current price was trading. You can see it's kind of been trading in this range. Kept the same strike, $52. I made $69.35 by doing that. So I made a potential additional 5.22%. And in all honesty, I will look at this again come Wednesday, Thursday, and there's a very good chance I'll roll it out again. As long as I can make 2% or better, I'm happy doing that. And as you can see, 2, 7, done well. Now, this, you may, what's this last line? Well, midway through the week, I had closed out an early cash put for profit because it didn't make sense holding it any longer. I'd kept most of the premium, and so I had some. I had about $5,400 or something sitting on the sidelines. So I thought, well, I'm going to go look at AMD, and so I sold a put on AMD. I did the 51 strike, which would mean if that gets filled, my call wouldn't get filled, and then I would have been doing, because it had the 605 expiration. So it was only, this was on Thursday. It expired the next day. I kept my 935 because it expired worthless, which was a 5.5% return. That's why it's there. That's not a call. That's an additional put I sold that I was pretty comfortable. I've been watching this stock price so much, since April. So for the last 2 months, I've been watching this stock price, and it tends to move counterintuitive to the market. So when the market's having an up day, a lot of times AMD's having a small down day. And when the market's having a down day, AMD's having a small up day. But as you can see, from all of my prices, in a 2-month time, it's basically ranged from $50 to $55, and well, 56.87 on the highest point. But lately it's been down in this 53, 52 range. So I'm pretty comfortable with my 52 call, and I was comfortable with a 51 strike that I'd have been able to call my way out of that one also. So that's AMD. Okay, I'm going to show you this one as a thing that went against me, and I eventually took a pretty bad loss because I started to question my judgment. So on November 7th, 2019, AMC, the movie people, I sold a put. I sold 2 contracts because, it was a 950 strike, and, I was willing to take 2 contracts. Price at entry was at 1019. I took a 950 strike. My buying power was 1900. My maximum profit was 1870, but it was only an 8-day to expiration trade. My actual profit was 1740, which was 4.5 cents. I rolled it out and down, meaning, I went from 950 strike down to $9 strike, but I rolled it, obviously out quite a ways. So that was on November 13th. I now had a $9 strike, which put it at 1,800 buying power. My maximum profit was only 870. This stock was starting to trend down, and I was getting nervous about it, and I should have just got out then, but oh well, you learn. Hindsight's 20/20, right? So that was 37 days to expiration. I was only going to make 0.39%. I rolled it again day before expiration. I wasn't able to roll the strike down, so I was still at 9. The stock was now trading at 784, so I'm already going to be getting in, at $116 per, or $1.16 per share less. It's going to be worth $1.16 less than what I'm paying for it. My maximum profit there was 28.70. It's 36 days out. That would have been a 1.33% return. I rolled it after 25 days, so a week and a half before. So I made a 1.83%. So I rolled it out for the credit. Wasn't able to roll it down, or I wouldn't have gotten that credit. At this point, it's now trading at 653, so it's gone down 40%, almost 40%, 30 plus percent from when I first started looking at this. I'm still at the $9 strike price, and my buy power still to 1800. This one I was able to make because I rolled it out quite a ways. I was going to make 78.70. But as you can see, 11 days later, the price had gone down even further than that 653. And I said to myself, I don't want to own AMC stock. This was a dumb idea. This was a bad one. You know, what was I thinking? Kicked myself. I went ahead and exited early and took a $502.60 loss. So as you can see, and I put on here, took loss, wasn't looking good, took loss. So I took loss. I said that twice. That can happen. And, you know, obviously I could have, this was on January 13th. I exited on January 24th. It's now trading around 5 something. And I'm pretty sure it was down in the $3 range, you know, at the bad point. Point is, you know, I could have held it. I could have kept playing with it. And, you know, but I would have kept rolling it out, or I would have gotten filled, you know, at $9 when it's now $4. So I'd be 400 times 2 contracts. That'd be $800 in the hole. And, you know, right now I'd be almost $800 in the hole. So I ended up taking, you know, about a $450 loss after you take my, you know, my profits I kept here. It was just a bad trade. That's what you have to understand. There is risk. You know, everybody sometimes looks at this and says, well, what can go wrong? A lot can go wrong. You know, if, you know, we look at it and say, well, you know, if I buy the stock and then I immediately write a covered call and I'm making a premium, how can I lose? Well, you can lose because the stock price goes down and down and down. In this case, you know, it went from 10.19 down to, you know, currently trading in the mid 5 range. So, you know, it lost almost 50% of its value. Well, your covered calls, you know, making 2, 3, even 5, 6, 7, 8% a month is going to take a long time to cover that loss. So sometimes, you know, for me, it's just admit your mistake, take the loss, and reallocate that money in a better way. And this wasn't a lot of money, obviously, but it just, you know, looking back, I think I did the right thing. Now, a year from now, AMC may be trading back up at $10, $12. That's very possible. And if I'd have just, you know, let it go, and but I've been using covered calls. If I had kept my covered calls at my strike price of $9, I wouldn't have got paid anything unless I was, you know, 6 months out at a time. I hate doing that. I've done it. I don't like doing it. So, you know, that's for me. But those are the lessons you're going to learn. And I don't care how good you are at this. We can't predict those events that cause things to go bad. And obviously, you know, AMC had come down from its highs dramatically. So, you know, I was kind of bottom picking, and that can be dangerous. I try not to go against the trend anymore. You know, if I look at a stock and I think, well, movies, everybody's going to movies. You know, they shouldn't go much lower than they have. But they did, you know, that was at 10, and now they're, you know, on the 5, and they have now. Can they go down to 2? Sure. Can they go back up to 12? You bet. You know, that's what you have to play with. And so you got to keep that in your mindset is, if this stock takes a tumble, do I believe in it long term? And is it worth managing those covered call trades? Like I showed you in the one example where I was up, you know, I kept lowering the strike price and raising it back up and lowering it back down, you know, trying to follow the market and make some kind of a premium, and hope that I don't get called away when it's at a low price. And you know, that's the hard part. When a stock moves against you, managing that trade becomes much more difficult. And, you know, so food for thought. I hope this has helped. And you know, if you have any questions, you're always welcome to call me. Again, I am not a professional presenter, so you get what you get. But hopefully, you know, as you see how I manage some of these trades and how I roll some out and exit early on some, that you kind of get a feel for what I'm doing.